In the heart of a lush African valley, where emerald hills roll gently towards the horizon and rivers weave gracefully through fertile farmlands, lay the once peaceful village of Aleahon. It was a land blessed with nature's bounty, where the rains kissed the soil just enough for crops to flourish, and the sun painted the sky golden each evening as it dipped behind the hills. Birds of vibrant colors sang melodies from the treetops, and the scent of wildflowers drifted through the air, mingling with the aroma of fresh harvest from the fields. The people of Aleahon were a proud, hardworking community. Men and women toiled together in the fields, cultivating yam, millet, and cassava, while children ran barefoot through the soft earth, their laughter echoing through the valley like music. The village was known not only for its prosperity but for its unity. Evenings were spent gathered around the great Iroko tree at the village square, where elders shared stories of old, tales of ancestors, gods, and the spirits of the land. The flames of the evening fire danced gently, never fierce, a symbol of warmth, family, and peace. Yet that peace had long since abandoned Aleahon. A dark shadow had fallen over the village, consuming it in fear and ashes. The harmony once felt in the songs of the birds had been replaced by the mournful cries of those who had lost everything. For months now, the goddess of fire, Obatolaoni, had haunted the village like a relentless storm. Once a forgotten name, her return had brought devastation the likes of which no living elder could recall. No one knew why she had risen from the depths of the earth or why her wrath was so fierce. Some whispered that the village had unknowingly desecrated her ancient shrine in the nearby forest. Others murmured of an ancient feud between her and the gods of the rivers, a conflict reignited after centuries of silence. But whatever the reason, her fury was undeniable. When Obatolaoni approached, the air itself seemed to thicken. The winds grew hot and dry, carrying with them the acrid scent of burning wood. Even the earth seemed to tremble beneath her presence. Then, without warning, flames would erupt, vivid and wild, devouring everything in their path. The first sign was always a strange orange glow flickering in the distance, often in the dead of night. Within moments, huts would be reduced to cinders, thatched roofs collapsing in waves of crackling flame. The marketplace, once a lively hub filled with the chatter of traders and the scent of roasted maize, was now a place of ruin. Stalls of woven baskets and clay pots lay shattered, blackened by the goddess's flames. The farmland, once rich and abundant, had been reduced to scorched patches of barren soil where nothing grew but despair. The villagers did all they could to fight the flames, forming chains to pass water from the river, but it was never enough. The fire seemed unnatural, resisting water as though they were alive, hungering not just for wood but for life itself. Crops had been destroyed. Entire families were forced to flee their homes, seeking refuge in the forest or huddling together in the ruins of the once thriving village square. Hope, like the fields, had withered under the heat of Obatolaoni's wrath. With each attack, the despair deepened. Children clung to their mothers, terrified that the fire would return the next night. Fathers worked tirelessly to rebuild, only for the flames to come again and undo their efforts. Smoke lingered in the air, not just from the fires but from the sorrow that now clouded the hearts of the people. The elders, those who once spoke with wisdom and certainty, now whispered in hushed tones. "We have angered the gods," they would say, though none could agree how or why. Even the animals seemed to sense the change. Birds no longer sang as sweetly. The river, once crystal clear, seemed murkier, as though mourning the loss of the land's beauty. The people of Aleahon prayed. They offered sacrifices to the gods of the river, the sky, and the earth, hoping to appease the divine forces. They burned incense, sang songs of pleading, and left offerings of yam and palm wine at the village shrine. But no sign came from the heavens. No answer from the gods. And Obatola, in their desperation, the people of Aleahon knew they could not endure much longer under the torment of Obatolaoni. Fear had taken root, but with it came the resolve to fight back. The village called upon their mightiest warriors, three men whose names had long been spoken with reverence in tales of bravery. Olumide the Strong, whose strength was said to rival that of a lion. His arms, thick as tree trunks, had felled mighty Iroko trees with a single strike of his axe. Adekono the Swift, a master of speed and agility. He moved like the wind, his footsteps barely touching the earth. Legend said he once outrun a charging buffalo and returned home without a scratch. Kabir the Fearless, a warrior known for his unshakable courage. His heart was as steady as the mountains, and no threat, no matter how grave, could break his resolve. These three men stepped forward without hesitation when the village cried for help. They knelt before Baba Ogund, the aged village priest, who had been entrusted with the wisdom of the gods for decades. His white beard flowed down to his chest, and his frail hands trembled slightly as he prepared the sacred blessings for the warriors. The priest's voice echoed through the air as he sprinkled blessed water upon their foreheads and pressed sacred chalk patterns on their skin. He tied protective charms around their wrists, cowrie shells filled with sacred ash, woven with threads of crimson and gold. Their weapons were blessed as well, Olumide's massive double-edged axe, Adekono's twin daggers, and Kabiru's long spear, its blade newly sharpened and kissed with sacred oil. As the rites concluded, Baba Ogun spoke with a voice heavy with warning. You seek to face Obatolani, but know this, her power is no mere flame of the earth. It is ancient, born from the spirit world where the fire of creation itself burns eternally. If you confront her in the open, you will be consumed. He paused, his eyes narrowing as if remembering some ancient truth buried deep in the past. There is a place, long forgotten. The sacred underground. It lies hidden beneath the great forest, where roots twist like serpents and the earth hums with old power. This cavern is where Obatolani returns after every act of destruction, for it is the source of her strength. But in that place, her power also weakens, slightly. If you strike her there, you have a chance, though the risk remains grave. The underground is a place of darkness, where mortal souls can become lost forever. The warriors bowed in respect. We will not fail, Baba Ogund, Olumide said, gripping his axe. Our people have suffered enough, added Adekono, his voice firm. She will taste the steel of Aleahon, Kabiru vowed, lifting his spear. At dawn, the three warriors departed. The entire village gathered in silence, watching as they disappeared into the thick veil of the forest. Mothers held their children close, elders whispered prayers, and Baba Ogun stood with his staff raised toward the rising sun, murmuring invocations for their safe return. Days passed. Then weeks. The forest remained silent. The villagers waited, watching the tree line with growing dread. No sign of the warriors returned, no echo of footsteps, no sign of a victorious return. And still, the fires continued. Houses continued to burn. Crops were devoured in the night. Hope, once as strong as the walls of Aleahon, began to crumble like dry leaves. Until, finally, the flames seemed to whisper a darker truth. Olumide, Adekono, and Kabiru were never coming back. The warrior's fate, deep within the sacred underground. Far beneath the earth, where light was but a memory and the air felt thick with heat, the sacred underground whispered with the echoes of lost souls. The three warriors had reached the heart of the cavern after days of navigating the twisting tunnels. They had not slept. Strange voices echoed from the stone walls. The air reeked of sulfur, and their footsteps echoed endlessly, as if mocking their presence. At last, they entered a vast chamber where the ground pulsed with molten rivers that cut through the earth like glowing veins. At the center, upon a jagged throne of blackened stone, sat Obatolani. She was a sight both mesmerizing and terrifying. Her form shifted between a beautiful woman with hair like flames and a swirling mass of fire. Her eyes glowed like twin suns, and when she spoke, her voice crackled like burning wood. So, the warriors of Aleahon dare enter my domain. Olympite stepped forward, his axe raised high. "We come to end your tyranny, Flame Witch. Return to the spirit realm or face our wrath." Obatolani laughed. The cavern trembled. "You speak of wrath as if you understand fire." Suddenly, the flame surged from her hands, and the battle began. Olympite charged first, swinging his massive axe in a wide arc. The blade sliced through the flames, but instead of striking flesh, it passed through her fiery form. In an instant, the fire coiled around his weapon, hitting the metal until it glowed white hot. He roared in pain, dropping the weapon as his hands blistered. Adekonal darted forward next, moving so swiftly he seemed to vanish. His daggers flashed, slicing at her core. For a moment, it seemed the goddess staggered, until her flames formed a wall behind him, trapping him. The fire licked his legs, scorching his skin as he cried out in pain. Kabero, the last to strike, lunged with his spear, aiming for her heart. But Obatolani merely raised a single hand. Flames burst forth, engulfing the spear and turning it to ash before his eyes. "You fight like mortals. But I am eternal." The last thing they saw was a burst of flame so bright it turned their skin to stone. Now they stood, frozen as statues, their final expressions of pain captured forever in the heart of the cavern. And so, they were forgotten, until the king himself would one day descend into the same darkness to face her wrath.